BBC, looks like another attack by a very sick and deranged person. Law enforcement is following this closely. Not in the USA! Exclamation mark. At the moment, the authorities say there is no evidence of a wider terror plot. But why here and why now, in the shadow of the New World Trade Center and when children were coming out to celebrate Halloween? Extra police have now been deployed on the streets and at airports. Sarah Gorka, BBC News.
Now, we have some indication of why a note was apparently left in the vehicle pledging allegiance to ISIS. Police will be following up all of the leads at the scene just now. There were forensic investigators combing the area looking for all traces, any traces of evidence that they could collect to try and piece together what happened over the evening. At the end of this drive that led to such a carnage, the suspect was shot and is now in hospital, but of course they'll be keen to talk to as many of his associates as possible. The details that are emerging is that he was an Uber driver, that he lived in Florida, and that he came to the United States in 2010.
A lot of concern, of course, Michelle, about a motive, but I guess the most rapid and widespread investigations try to find out whether there were people supporting this attack, whether there might be other people planning something similar.
I think that is the priority immediately. Is this a lone wolf attack or something more? Now, initially, certainly the New York Police Department came out and said they did not think this was part of a wider scheme. They're going to be holding a press conference at 11 a.m. Eastern Time here to update people of what they found and to see whether or not that picture has changed over the hours that followed the incidents, which has caused carnage and a terror scene that we haven't really seen here in Lower Manhattan or indeed in New York since 9/11.
President Trump, of course, has been talking, referencing the travel ban he's been trying to introduce, which would deal with several mainly Muslim countries. It wouldn't stop someone coming from Tampa, Florida, or from Uzbekistan.
Well, that's right. I mean, Uzbekistan is not on the lists that President Trump has drawn to try and impose a travel ban. The other thing we've seen him tweet is that he has asked or directed the Department of Homeland Security to step up its extreme vetting program. This would essentially make it harder for people to come into the United States. And he said that this was not a time to be politically correct.
This is already, as you've been pointing out, Michelle, one of the most heavily policed areas of New York. Physical obstructions, as people say, might help prevent vehicle attacks. Very difficult, though, from the surveillance and intelligence point of view, if people might be quite low level, quite fringe, and then suddenly become violently active.
When you hear law enforcement talking about these kind of events, Mike, not just here in New York, but we've seen this happen in the UK, in France, in Spain. One of the things they always talk about is how difficult it is when it is an individual acting seemingly perhaps not tied to any wider groups. They're much harder to track down. The message that's always given to to citizens is to be vigilant, and that was a message that the New York Police Department repeated again today.
Michelle, thank you very much indeed for that. We can speak now to Babatunde Ogunyi. I know you're a student in New York City. I think you go to college just across the street from this attack. Thanks for your time. Can you tell us, what did you see?
So yes, I go to the Borough of Manhattan Community College, which is right across the street from the pier. The pier area is mostly like a recreational area where people walk dogs, people take jogs, people are commuting every day right by Detention. So me and a friend just so happened to be on that side of the pier, and we saw this white truck, revving its engine at the light and everything. We were wondering, why is he driving so aggressively?